Hello, fellow crazies of the interwebs. Well, let me just make like a mean face for the thumbnail or something. Like, how do you make a mean face? I'm not good at being mean. Anyways, we've done such a terrible thing over the years, and that's the bastardization of the term introvert, where we've made it interchangeable with antisocial or just plain shy. I'm here to argue, while being either one of those things is probably more common for the introverted, you can totally be an introvert who is neither antisocial or shy. Maybe this is a controversial thing to say, but bubbly and sociable people can be introverts alongside extroverts. What separates the two is that introverts occasionally suffer from people exhaustion, which drives them to retreat into aloneness in order to renew energy. Petric. You can be an outgoing person and still be considered an introvert. All that matters is if you feel your social battery recharges when you're alone. So if it's low, you need your space to gather more energy in order to go out and socialize again when you want to. Or worst case scenario, if you have to. But let's be honest, it's more of a common case than a worst case scenario considering our world is set up to reward outgoing personality traits that revitalize extroverts while punishing habits that recuperate introverts by promoting solitude. And I don't know if you can hear the train out there right now, but I should probably pause. It's sadly a mask the introspective often have to cover their true self over with in order to succeed in our society. Well, I live in the US, so maybe it's different in other parts of the world, and if there are, feel free to let me know because I kinda wanna get out of here. You leave your house to hang out with friends, enjoy a social hobby, whatever. But every interaction you engage in drains your battery to a different degree depending on the intensity of the activity, and different people will be drained to a different amount depending on the individual. Now that you're running low on energy, you gotta find a quiet spot to enjoy your own privacy. Not because you dislike other people, because you don't have the reserves to share any more energy with anyone. People report enjoying momentary extroverted behavior, which does not seem to depend on trait levels of introversion-extroversion. I, for one, absolutely despise how common it is for people online to believe you have to dislike or even hate being around other people to be considered an introvert. I don't find this opinion as common in person, surprisingly, but it's mostly online, so I'm probably just complaining to the clouds about nothing here. And if you do dislike other people, you're probably just antisocial. I don't want to throw those who simply enjoy the comfort of themselves more than the company of others under the bus. I know people who are just neutral about other people. They don't hate them. They'd rather just be left to their own devices, you know? They're loners, really. If you get anything out of this video, being an introvert doesn't give you permission to be an asshat to other people, okay? So, really quickly, let's go over the difference between being antisocial versus being a loner. Meet Ashley. She constantly calls other people stupid, like not out loud, but in her head because she doesn't want to get in trouble. And will even get up on her high horse and believe she's better than them because only losers band together and rely on each other, like a pack of sheep or something. She's so independent, and her hyper independence makes her strong. I can't believe I just said that. She has no idea how to ask for help or enjoy someone else's company, and sadly, it makes it so other people don't enjoy being around her either. Contrast that to Bill. Bill's pretty chill. He gets invited to hang out with other people because he's a cool dude, not antagonistic in the slightest. He may even occasionally entertain the idea, but he'll often choose to tell them, no thanks, I have a hot date tonight with a good, but no hostility, but overall pretty independent. It has nothing against other people or being around them. Might ask for their input here and there. People like having him around the rare occasion he decides to join them. Bill simply prefers the presence of himself while not looking down on people who are different from him. They're both alone quite often, but their perspectives are completely different. Ashley is a donkey and Bill is just a chill guy. And one thing I like to note is, while both Ashley and Bill like to be alone, neither one of them are shy. Shyness is just a timid expression. Some shy people are introverts, a bit hesitant or doubtful in their disposition, but can still crave the presence of the right company. That's me, introverted and shy. I have a stutter when I'm not reading a script, and while sometimes that's because I'm feeling a bit timid, my stutter can also present itself when I'm extremely excited, causing me to stumble with my words. A million ideas I'm eager to share, but my mouth is only big enough to express a single one, resulting in a word salad. I need an extravagant amount of alone time. Most, but not all, of my hobbies are just me by my merry lonesome. I mean, I just got back home from hanging out with a group of people, so, I'm also kind of social. So, I also make the effort to schedule out time to spend with other people. Because for me, it's sometimes a bit difficult to be spontaneous with being outgoing, but taking time to schedule it in makes it drastically easier to get my social desires in and emotionally ready myself to be socially engaged before I go out. I can get rather lonely if I don't spend a few hours of quality time with people every week, but too much more than that and I start to crash out and feel a bit catatonic, just laying down in bed like... Of course, different people drain my battery more than others, and on the rare occasion, I'll meet someone that revitalizes me the longer I'm around them. But when you look at my body language, I'm often kind of pointed away from people, head kind of tilted downwards, and somewhat weird arms that hang in awkward positions. Sometimes I got those dino hands. I have more space around myself compared to everyone else around me in the group next to each other. I can sometimes shake a little and come off as shy, but it doesn't get in my way with putting myself out there and interacting with people when I want to. Big emphasis on want to. And when I need to, because that also happens. It looks pretty awkward from the outside, but the people who enjoy my company don't seem to mind. I guess you can call it quirky? I don't know, but what I do know for sure is that I stopped looking down on myself for it and just accepted the fact that that's just me being me. And no, I don't often make eye contact either. A little bit, but not much. Not even for the people I feel really close to. I don't really look them in the eye. Besides that, the rest makes me come off as non-hostile and friendly, probably. If you're wondering if I'm on the spectrum, I have no official diagnosis, but I often have people telling me I remind them of their autistic relatives, but I didn't disturb the people around me enough where my school teachers would think I'm anything other than a tad bit shy. Go figure. I'm probably one of the strange exceptions when it comes to an engaged shy introvert, I think, because weirdly enough, less and less people have begun seeing me as shy at all, especially post 2020 when I made a vested intent to become more social. Even when I try to argue against them, some people genuinely don't believe me when I tell them I get nervous around other people, which sounds like a compliment, but there was some cognitive dissonance when this started happening. But I'd like to add, it could be that some people just naturally feel very safe to me. Obviously, some people still do see me as shy, but the number of people that do see me as shy is starting to shrink. If I had to try and say why, I'll explain with an example. This is the 2010s, before I started to be more comfortable with myself. When I took a speech class in community college, someone went up to me and told me she liked how composed I was during my speech. She was rather shy and said she hopes she doesn't stumble up there when it's her turn, which didn't register with me. When I was on stage, I was absolutely terrified. I thought everyone knew it too, because on the inside I was shaking. But I knew the topic by heart, so I could flow pretty well. And I learned in high school I was terrible at reading scripts when I was on stage and giving a presentation. So I always prepared for presentations with bullet points, not actual sentences. No paragraphs, just a few general words that distilled an idea. It was my job to look at the words and expand on what they meant in my own little way. Was I losing my stuff on the inside as I was speaking to my audience? Yes. Does it come off that way? Apparently not all the time. As a disclaimer for these videos, I am reading off a script so you don't see me stutter and stumble my words. The plus is the video flows better. The downside is you don't get to see how animated my hands can get sometimes when I'm just speaking from the heart. There was another time I was complimented for how I presented my speech. This is post 2020. It happened when I had a group project when I was finishing up my bachelor's degree. My group was pretty worried about me. Every time we worked on a project, I was mostly quiet and didn't really talk until someone asked me a question. I don't think they were sure about me speaking in front of everyone, but when push came to shove, I did pretty well. Their slides were paragraphs, while mine were bullet points. I was cracking jokes and giving relatable examples on the topic I introduced. The professor even encouraged everyone to mimic how I didn't follow a word-for-word script, but played with the topic on screen as I tried to engage my audience. And he said that even though, yeah, there's stutters and stumbles, he did pretty good. And you're probably wondering, was I scared up there? Heck yeah, I just said I was stuttering and stumbling. But having nerves doesn't stop me from being engaged. After over 2.5 decades of self-hatred, I simply started to embrace my temperament by leaning into my nervousness and just doing things timidly. I've tried to fight my body most of my life, but 9 times out of 10, people don't make a big deal about it. In fact, they're often impressed. And I'll probably expand on this topic in another video. I'm just trying to say, don't judge a book by its cover. The way someone presents isn't the way they're feeling, and people can mask their emotions quite well. We pay actors millions of dollars to fake their feelings for a reason. And yes, I often need a great amount of decompression time, where I'm isolated in a cave for an extended period of time after moments like these. Hence, I am an introvert, despite being able to present with enthusiasm at times when I need to. If I felt energized or recharged from doing this, I'd be an extrovert. I haven't made the video yet, so future me, edit this part out as you're recording. Don't just read the script. You're totally just doing that right now despite me telling you otherwise, aren't you? Yeah, so I don't actually know how I'm gonna be reading this as I wrote this, but the next part just says, if you appear lively on video, it's definitely a persona for the camera. I also came back to add to the second draft of this script that I just remembered something. I actually used to be selectively mute as a kid. I never spoke to anyone outside of my home until my last semester of high school. It was because I wanted to talk to this girl. Don't tell her or anyone else, please. Let's keep it a secret between us. That wasn't part of the script, I just remembered that. Not a single word escaped my mouth before then. I got A's on my assignments, but occasionally my teachers usually told me I could skip out on their presentations because they saw how difficult it was for me to speak, and I had the marks to prove I knew the material well. I couldn't even talk with them in private. So yeah, I rarely had to talk in school until I went to college, and by then I actually sought out other people to talk to of my own enjoyment. And to be real for a second, I'm completely aware that my real voice is completely flat and nonchalant with dead eyes when I'm being myself completely. I mean, it's not like that all the time, but sometimes. Especially around people, they just give me, their energy doesn't vibe with mine, and mine just goes, I'm just kind of low, not really feeling it, just whatever. But, that version of me, there's nothing wrong with that either, because, I can emote and be expressive, but it takes a huge toll on my body if I have to force it. And around certain people, I do enjoy being this way. And somehow I can do all that even better, quite effortlessly. But it's not an on and off switch for me. Some people just naturally bring that side out of me. I have no clue why, if I'm being honest. I'd be willing to bet that's why there are shy people who are afraid to engage, but want to, because they're shamed for having a resting bitch face or made fun of for having a monotone voice. Which sucks. One of the sweetest person I know isn't the most expressive. But I learned other people, particularly other women, would bully her for having a monotone voice. Like, how rude. That's messed up, dude. Like, he's an absolute sweetheart. What the I can't swear on here. I'm not supposed to, but I want to. God. I guess I just did there. Don't censor that out. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Coincidentally, we met because she approached me for a group assignment, and we eventually became pretty decent friends. When I was still in college, I'd often gravitate to the shy ones, always trying to get them to laugh. I never tried to make them talk. I'd always ask them questions and be okay if they didn't want to speak back. I could carry the conversation myself if I had to. When they did speak, for whatever reason, it would go from one-word answers to them volunteering their opinion randomly. It's always so much fun to hear their voices change from neutral to excited as I got the privilege to listen to what's on the mind of the class wallflower. And even when they aren't coming specifically to talk to me, sometimes they begin to hover around me in group situations. Again, you don't have to be shy to be considered an introvert, and amazingly, you don't even have to be an introvert in order to be shy. There are shy extroverts out there too, and you better be kind enough to listen to their perspectives too, or I'm gonna slap you. Well, I'm supposed to be non-violent, but yeah. The person in question says socially anxious extrovert. It got me to think a bit. Should I differentiate shyness from social anxiety in this video? Let me ponder over that for a second. I'm reading an article over at Talkiatry for some extra input. So basically, shyness is a personality trait that express themselves timidly, but it does not prevent them from entering social situations. Well, don't you know, I just described myself as that not too long ago, and social anxiety is a mental health condition where their nervousness does prevent them from being around other people. Maybe earlier I was describing myself as just shy, while the people I befriended in college were socially anxious. But don't take my word to heart. I just got denied grad school admittance because during my interview, I lacked confidence, to quote their reasoning. And that's partially why I revived this channel, because I love being analytical about the topics I love, and even if I'm not displaying a loud and proud air of confidence, that doesn't mean I don't feel a sense of competency when it comes to sharing my ideas with others, even if I'm very mellow about it. Anyways, sorry for getting sidetracked. But yeah, socially anxious extroverts exist even. Although going by the definition of Talkiatry, it's more of a shy extrovert for the post in question, energized by being around other people, but those feelings of embarrassment are along for the ride, going so far as to not letting their hesitancy get in the way of developing a social life. How rad. They do describe themselves as having to mask over their awkwardness, but hey, if it works and they're happy with it, they get 2 thumbs up from me. I don't know why I crossed my arms like that. Remember, extroverted individuals are energized and thrive off being around other people. That definition has nothing to do with shyness. But like the poster said, they aren't mutually exclusive. This has to do with how you get energy, not how your personality presents itself. Also, can a person without confidence record themselves? I don't know, man. Like if I was completely not confident in myself, I wouldn't be able to do this video right now. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just still a little salty about not getting into my program. Anyways, I know I could go into more things like ambiversion or omniversion, but that might make this video too big. And I don't feel like I can make a video that's too large right now. I don't even know if people even want to listen to me yap for much longer. Let's just get to the point. Besides, I don't think ambiversion really needs to be explained beyond it's a mix of introversion and extroversion that's balanced in the middle, and omniversion is going to both extremes. I primarily want to focus on the term introvert for this discussion. There's a growing misconception online, but like I said, in person, not really. People are introverted and social. I've met plenty. I still run into them quite often. There's a growing misconception online that introversion means you're repulsed by others, almost implying extroverts are attracted to people. I'm pretty sure they have people they don't like either. I don't think most introverts need any examples outside of themselves to see. There are probably points in your life that you were drawn to a particular person or people in general. And of course, extroverted folks want their alone time too. I also want to go on a quick tangent and say, if you're an introvert and you gain energy from reading about or watching a particular person, aren't you in a weird metaphysical way spending time with that person? Or am I being too woo-woo and should close out the video now before my ideas drift too far off into space? In the interest of not consuming any more of your valuable time, I hope I did a decent job for my first big video in a while on this dead channel with this subject matter. Feel free to chime in on what I could have missed or expanded upon better. At the end of the day though, these are merely labels. I don't think it would do anyone any good to identify too rigidly to any kind of self-limiting belief system. After all, human beings are fluid in their personality. In one season of your life, you may be called to be more involved with the people around you. In another period, more inclined to seek refuge in your own aloneness. And one isn't inherently better than the other. They simply allow us to blossom in our own unique way, like infinite amount of flowers there are that are never exactly alike. I hope you had fun. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. There's still a ton more topics I'd like to talk about. I spent over 17 years on and off meditating and studying Zen and adjacent subjects. I'd love to try and translate what I've realized from them, where the average person can get something out of it with no prior knowledge to these practices. Eventually, I'd like to make a video on how I learned to stop hating myself and get comfortable in my own skin that revealed itself to me when I was avidly meditating. Thanks for hanging out with me. Until next time. Love you. I'm trying to wink. I can't wink.